This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so I've got 7 o'clock, and at this point, I will open the public hearing. And the public hearing is to address soliciting comment on the application of 580 Lake Road. The applicant seeking a site plan approval for a permitted use in an industrial zone. So, Abby, if you can allow me to share my screen.
Yep, hold on just a second. All right, you should be able to.
Before we start tonight, I wanted to go through just a couple of things from our regulations, because we are not required to hold a public hearing with respect to this application. And I wanted to run through our regulations so that people had a little bit of an understanding of why. And if your screen looks like mine, you're probably covering up some of the words over on the right-hand side. But what it says is down here in the second paragraph, site plan review requirements must meet all criteria, excluding public hearing requirements. However, the commission may hold a public hearing regarding any site plan submission if in its judgment circumstances warrant such hearing. And I thought that there would be some interest in what was going on. And so I wanted to hold a public hearing so that the people could understand what was coming to town, get a chance to ask questions of the applicant, and understand that while we can be interested, the commission, you know, when it comes time to act on the application, it's not a question of we like this plan or we don't like this plan. It's a permitted use because we didn't need to have a public hearing with a special permit. And so if the applicant meets the requirements of our regulations, we are bound and obliged to approve the application. So that's the way that that works. It makes no difference, you know, how we feel as commission members about the application itself. It has to meet our requirements, and that's what we're looking for. So if we go down here, and it says that it's permitted, any of the uses permitted under Section 8, which we'll get to in a minute, are permitted by site plan review. So Section 8 takes us back to the, I think it's business or the business zone. So the retail store, as we will see, is permitted under the business zone, and in the industrial zone, those permitted businesses are by right allowed to build. So that's Section 9. Backing up to Section 8, uses permitted by site plan review in the business zone. And you come down here, retail sales with a completely enclosed building. And so that's what the application is. That gives them the right to do it. And we'll go, that's our starting point on what the Planning and Zoning Commission will be looking to when we make our determination on that.
Not the least of which.
When we get to the public comment portion of the hearing, if you wish to provide a comment to the commission, I would ask that you provide your name and address for the record. As the applicant has a legal right to get what they seek if the regulations are satisfied, comments should be informational, directed toward the criteria of the regulations. And I see there's a fair number of people here tonight, so I'm hoping that, well, we will give everybody a chance to have their say. I would ask that you try to keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. Ann Creme will be, keeping the time tonight. If you start to get to the 2-minute point, she'll let you know. So hopefully you can wrap that up. But we want to make sure that we have plenty of opportunity for everybody that wants to comment to be able to do so. You saw that we're recording the session, so it will be on the record. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. A lot of people on the line and background noise can get a little excessive. Any questions that you have, please direct those to me. And if I think they need to go to the applicant, I will readdress them that way, but you should ask your questions of me when we get to the comment point. And I'd ask you to please be respectful. I guess that goes without saying. So at this point, I'd like to turn the presentation over to the applicant. And I think, Matt, will you be addressing?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
I can. So if you can run through your application rather quickly, I would ask that you focus on the characteristics of the building, the parking lot, and I think that's where most of the interest will lie. I know that we got a lot of information from you today that I have not had a chance to go through, and I don't think the other commission members are even aware that we got it yet and have it now posted. But if one of the big concerns, as we talked about, was the traffic study. I know we've got that now, 90 some pages, so I didn't get a chance to review that thoroughly today. But if you want to give us a brief overview on the traffic patterns going in and out of the store, in addition to the building, that would be great. So Matt, take it away.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Yep. So for the record, again, my name is Matthew Bruton. I'm an engineer from BL Companies. We are headquartered at 355 Research Parkway in Meriden, Connecticut. Do I have the ability to share the screen? It looks like I do. Okay, hold on. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Yes, I got a thumbs up. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll do a few minutes, just a high-level overview, like I did last time. We do have our traffic engineer here who can give you a quick overview of the traffic study, because I know it is a thick book, and we also have our project architect here as well that could describe the characteristics of the building. So we'll start off here with the plan that you see in front of you. This is the subdivision plan. This lot was previously subdivided at a prior meeting. Just for orientation, for those of you who have not seen it before, I'll just do some drawing here. Route 6 is across the bottom of the screen where I'm drawing yellow now, and Lake Road is up on the left-hand side of the screen, the second yellow line. This is currently a little over a 1 acre lot. I'll just circle it here quickly in green for everybody. That's created at the corner of Route 6 and Lake Road. This is formerly one larger lot that was controlled by the current plumbing business, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, which is roughly just where my hand is circling now. Just to give you context, as I'm sure you guys are all familiar, this is a vacant parcel. I'm just showing you quickly the aerial image from Google of this plot that we're speaking about, and then jumping over to Street View here. In general, this vacant grassed area is where we're focusing of our project. In general, just to give you some context, topography runs from the south to the north. So in general, in this direction, from 298 to 292. And with, like, as I said, frontage on Route 6 and Lake Road, and there are no wetlands on the property. I'm going to move forward to the site plan and just zoom in here. So again, just I'll trace the rough green outline of the property. Route 6 still at the bottom of the page, Lake Road still on the left-hand side. So we are proposing a little over a 10,000 square foot single-story retail building. It would have 35 proposed parking spaces. That conforms with your zoning regulations. We do show 2 driveway entrances. I'll just circle them roughly here in red. So there's one to Route 6 right here and one to Lake Road, both full access driveways. Obviously the Route 6 driveway is a DOT controlled road, so we would need to secure an encroachment permit from the DOT. As mentioned by the chairman, they have started their review and they did request that traffic study, which has been provided to this commission as well. So their review is going on concurrently with this one. I'll just point out some features of this proposed site plan. So as I mentioned, a little over 10,000 square foot building. Main entrance is roughly where I circled in orange. Proposed handicap spaces in the square. And we do show a loading and dumpster enclosure area in this upper right-hand corner. Speaking of the improvements to the site, we are complying with your zoning regulations in terms of setbacks, building coverage, parking spaces, things of that nature. We are not seeking any variances to any of your standards. I'm just going to move forward to the stormwater management, grading and drainage plan. So as I mentioned at a prior meeting, because we're increasing impervious area on the property, we do have to comply with 2004 Connecticut Stormwater Manual and 2002 Erosion and Sedimentation Control Guidelines. The goal of those guidelines and manuals is to match existing drainage patterns, mitigate peak flows, and provide 80% TSS removal. We're hitting all of those marks. We're doing that by providing a stormwater management system on the property. So that's a series of catch basins with deep sumps and hoods, hydrodynamic separators, underground infiltration system, and these all are depicted on the plan you see in front of you here. I'll just highlight some of those features, some piping, catch basins, underground stormwater system. And again, this will all discharge to Route 6 as a site currently does today without any improvements on board. I'm just going to move forward to the utilities plan. All utilities are either available on site or in the street. So we are proposing a septic system for this facility. I believe the town received some confirmation from the health district earlier today or over the weekend about the adequacy of that system. We are also proposing propane on site for gas for heat. Electric and telephone service is available on Route 6, and we will need to provide a well because there is no water service in this area. So it would be a transient non-community well that would be permitted through the state, which is ongoing. I'll move a little bit further forward into the plan set. We do show an erosion and sedimentation control plan, which is a plan that the contractor will need to adhere to while major earthwork operations are going on. The goal of this plan is to make sure that any loose soil that is exposed during construction operations is not a detriment to any public street, city street, and a butter. So things that the contractor should be able to install and maintain throughout the life of the construction project are things like a construction entrance, silt sack, silt fence, sediment traps, soil stockpile area, erosion control blankets. The goal of these things is to protect, as I said, and they should be in place until the site is sufficiently stabilized to the town standards. In addition to that, we are showing a final landscaping plan as part of our set as well. It's a variety of grasses, trees, shrubs to make a visually attractive and inviting property that also complies with zoning. Mr. Chairman, I know we did receive a handful of comments from the peer review engineer. I'm happy to just quickly move through those if you would like before passing it on to traffic and architecture, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, go ahead, Matt.
Okay. here. So as I mentioned, the town did forward our application and our plans to Yantic River Consultings, who did a very thorough job, and we responded to this. So I won't go through every individual comment, but in general, I think we have replied to all of those, hopefully satisfactory. One of the items is sign information. So we did provide that on the plans that I will show you those to you shortly. Another one was related to plan areas, so pervious pavement. Just to point out to the commission and to the public, we are showing pervious pavement as part of this project. I'll just go back to the plan here to show you exactly where that is. To comply with your coverage requirements and to also help promote groundwater recharge, especially in an area like this, which has decent soils, we are showing a pervious pavement that will help aid in that condition when the ground isn't frozen, and then a regular pavement in other areas of the property. So that was a comment related to your peer review engineer. There was also comments related to parking and drainage. One of those was related to the size of parking spaces. We had shown spaces that were 9 by 20 feet and shrank them down to 9 by 18, which is the requirement of your town. So we were going a little bit bigger, but in regards to trying to reduce impervious area and comply, we have made that adjustment on the plan. We do show parking spaces that are required between the minimum and maximum for your regulations. And we're also showing the amount that we believe is going to be needed for the success of a future business here. Let's see, another peer review comment was related to the frontage sidewalk on Lake Road. I'll just show you that very quickly. So we were showing, and I'll just highlight it here in a color so it stands out to everybody. We were showing the addition of a sidewalk on Lake Road as requested by the town. Peer review engineer wished that we would extend this slightly further to the corner of Route 6 and Lake Road, because there is an existing pedestrian crossing mechanism here. It's a ped stop, and I can show you here on a street view, just so you guys have an understanding of where that is. This is right to the corner here. So we have modified the proposed frontage sidewalk to extend down to that area. As part of that extension, though, there's not enough town property between the property line and the edge of pavement, as you can see here. I'll just highlight it quickly. This is the property line, and then I will highlight here in blue the rough edge of the edge of the road. So there's not enough room to provide that connection without crossing into private property. So the applicant would need to provide some land in an easement for the town to make that connection as requested. Happy to do so. Let me just skim through the rest of these here. Traffic access, peer review engineer asked us to take a look at reducing the width of the driveway that connects to Route 6. We did so. So the driveway here shown on the plans is modified for that to, again, reduce some further impervious, but still accommodate the truck turning movements that are anticipated to support this business. Let me see what else here. There is some request about a final engineered design for pervious pavement structures in the town of Antelope prior to building permit. We've acknowledged that we will provide that prior to construction. There's also a request that the design engineer oversee the installation and certify that it was constructed substantially in accordance with the design. We've acknowledged that we will do that as part of the engineering group that will continue on during construction. The same note goes for the subsurface detention system. There's also a request to provide operation and maintenance plan. That was part of our stormwater management report. So this is a manual that will be followed by the owner of the property to implement to make sure that the system operates as we've designed it from day one to year 2, 10, 50 to make sure everything is working properly. So that is something that's been included as part of this application. I think that really that's really the overall gist, but I can obviously certainly dive into deeper ones if anybody has any questions. But Mr. Chairman, that's kind of the quick overview of the site plans. I'm happy to answer any questions or just to pass it along to our traffic engineer and then architect.
Is this the engineer?
I guess so, yeah.
At this point, Matt, can we pass it over to the person who would be showing us the actual building construction?
Absolutely. Doug, are you on the line?
I am, Matt, yeah. Can you have me pass over the screen sharing to me?
I think so. 1 second.
Yep, I got it. I
Be
got
able
it.
to, yep, you're all set.
Can everyone see my screen? Can
Yes,
everyone see my screen? Okay, good. Thank you. For the record, my name is Doug Bruner. I'm with the firm of BKA Architects. We're located in Brockton, Massachusetts. We're the architect of record for the project. And these are the proposed elevations. So I'm going to start in the upper right corner. This is the side that fronts on Lake Road. As the site plan indicated over here, it's a corner entry. So you can actually see the sliding doors. They're actually dark bronze cladded. The building materials start with a low brick base, thin brick base, reddish color, about 3.5 feet to about a little less than 2/3 of the base of the building, and then it jumps up to the height of the head of the storefront for the full brick there. And we do have cementitious clapboard, light gray in color, trimmed with cementitious hardy board trim as well too. It's white with verticals and horizontals. We do have some Greek revival detailing, some Greek returns, exposed rake. We're doing a asphalt shingle for the gable portion, pewter gray in color, and it's adorned with a decorative cupola. We do have a light gray spandrel fenestration on the sides to break up the facade. These are spandrel glass, so it's actually opaque, so you're not going to be able to see inside due to the use of the building, which is retail. You're most likely going to have full height walls on the other side. On the side here, you can see it is a vertical gutter and downspout. I'm sorry, vertical downspout and gutter, which actually collects the roof runoff. This line here is an angled line here to show the flat roof beyond. I'm going to go down to the lower left corner, and this is the adjacent side that fronts on Route 6. And so this is the other side of the corner entry, and the materials continue. And there's just more fenestration on this, as well as the egress door that's painted the same color as the clapboard. The height of the parapet is high enough so any rooftop equipment will be screened, majoritarily screened. You're going to see a little bit of them on top there. Popping up here to the opposite side of this, this is actually the rear of the building where you can actually see how the roof drains. So it's basically a flat roof beyond, cladded with rubber EPDM roofing. And then you have the horizontal gutter to basically take the entire roof water flow. And then it has these vertical downspouts that connect to the stormwater system. Beyond here, you can actually see more of the trim boards for the gable roof, as well as another view of the cupola. And the last view is the receiving side. It's not visible from the street, and it's cladded with a vertical batten metal panel. And the two 307, a pair of 3070 swing doors for the receiving, painted to match the metal panel. So it's actually intended to blend in. Here, you can actually see the adjacent gable as well as the vertical EPDM, and again, another view of the shingled roof. And that is pretty much the elevations, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
thank you, Doug. I think we'll hold our questions until we get through with your presentation here and then hear what we have for for comments from the commission and the public.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, our traffic engineer is here as our last professional. If you would like to hear from her about the traffic study, if you'd like. If not, we're happy to answer any of their questions.
No, I do think, traffic is one of the big concerns here. So if we could get a brief run through on what we expect when we actually look at the report, that would be great.
Okay, I will pass the baton then to my colleague, Pat, then.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. For the record, my name is Pat Padla, and I am a professional traffic operational engineer as well as professional engineer. For today, I created a quick PowerPoint with a few of the major comments. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. So the purpose of the traffic impact study is to determine if the proposal of land development has any impact on the adjacent roadway network. And if it does, we recommend any type of mitigation if needed. So for the analysis, we usually perform 3 scenarios: existing conditions as they are today, no build conditions, which means in a future year without the proposed development, and build conditions with the proposed development. For this particular development, we considered 3 time frames where we looked at the morning peak hour, which is between 7 and 8 a.m., afternoon peak hour, weekday afternoon peak hour between 4 to 5 p.m., and on Saturday midday, which is your peaking shopping period. So again, this is just a site from a different viewpoint. So when we do the analysis, we look at intersection geometry, traffic control devices such as signal controls, and volumes on the roadway. We collected traffic count information in 2022 within the last few weeks, and we also applied an annual growth rate of 1% for future years. So no build conditions, as I mentioned before, represent the conditions without the project itself. However, they do take into account that 1 year of growth, which is 1%. We have also discussed it with we reached out to the Connecticut DOT as well as the town to find out if there are any other projects in the area that we should consider in the traffic report, and there were none. So that said, we utilized ITE trip generation manual that provides us with potential proposed trips generated by the proposed development. In this instance, we were looking again at AM peak period, PM, and Saturday. So the proposed development with the square footage of 10,000 square feet generates about 25,000 trips in the morning. That's 14 entering and 11 exiting. 56 trips during PM peak period with 29 entering and 27 exiting. And on Saturday, since the manual does not provide an actual peak hour time, we estimate that it's 1.5 times of PM peak, which means we've estimated the trips to be 84 during that time frame. So now having those trips generated by the proposed development, we distribute it across the network. So when we distribute them across the network, we utilize a software called Synchro that provides us with level of service, how well the intersections and site access points perform. So it's based on the grading system where level of service A means green means good, level of service F means congested. So just for ease of viewing, we assign the color coding. So for this particular site, we have one signalized intersection, and across all scenarios, existing, no build, and build, it performs at level of service A, meaning there is no congestion. This is also true for the site driveways, both of them coming off of Route 6 as well as Lake Road. We also looked at the request of the town at Sightlines. And when we look at the Sightlines, we take into consideration 2 values: stopping site distance, the distance that a vehicle needs to come to a stop, as well as intersection sight distance to spot another vehicle or for maneuvering. Because we're looking at two site driveways with two different posted speed limits, we had to assess both driveways separately. So at Route 6, the posted speed limit is 50 miles per hour. However, a design speed to look up those values is 55 miles per hour. And for a stopping site distance, the required distance is about 500 feet. And for intersection site distance, it's about 600 feet. In both instances, when looking at the Route 6 to the east and west, you have over 1,000 feet of view shed. However, on Lake Road, the posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour. And when looking for site distances, the required distances are 200 feet and 335. Because of the proximity of the intersection with Route 6, we don't have that distance in the northbound direction. We have about 220 feet. And also on a southbound location, we also are limited by the geometry of the roadway, meaning there's some curvature in the road, and therefore we're not meeting it. And it's something that it's out of our control. So this is just to illustrate that it's that horizontal curvature that we don't have means of extending the distance. The only thing that we could do is ask the neighboring property to possibly trim down the hedges, and maybe that will improve the sight lines. So overall, I think from the traffic perspective, the level of service is A, meaning that the proposed development has no impact to the neighboring network. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. And just one point, I thought that the town provided to somebody maybe that at least at some point in the future, we were looking at commercial development in which the gravel pit across the right across Route 6 at this point. I know the intention is somewhere down the road to sell that piece of property and have it developed as well. I don't know how that factored into a traffic study.
How soon would it be built? Is it built within the next year or two? Therefore, then we would consider it in the traffic impact study. If it's still in the design stages, we don't have information to base it on.
I think it's probably still in the dream stages. The guys trying to get the gravel out of there to make the site look developable. And then at that point, I'll put it for sale and sell it. So it's a little ways off. But that is something
Gotcha.
we as a town have to consider when we're looking at the traffic on Route 6.
Sure.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would say that if that project ever does come to fruition, it would be on something to your commission to keep in mind, to make sure that they do also provide a traffic study based on the size of that development to make sure that it's still appropriate for Route 6.
Understand. So at this point, I would like to turn to our zoning agent, Jim Hallisey, to give us his review of the application and to do we have the materials we need and are we meeting the requirements? So take it away, Jim. You're still muted, Jim.
I still am in the process of review. I've reviewed much of it. Some of it I only got recently. And there's been some corrections, some updates to the plans made in response to my comments. I do have a couple questions through the chair, if I may. And one of them is in response to the town engineers. The fact that you're reducing the parking, and which would change the permeable or I'm sorry, the pervious versus impervious surface ratio. But my question to you is, does it really change it? I mean, you're just shrinking the spot. You're not shrinking the parking lot, are you? You're just shortening those lines, and those parking spaces are a different length. Am I wrong about that?
Again, Matt Bruton for the record. Mr. Halsey, yes. So your peer review engineer asked us to shrink the parking spaces from 9 feet wide and 20 feet deep to 9 feet wide and 18 feet deep. So
Right.
we would be shrinking the amount of pavement required for those parking
You're actually changing
spaces because
The
of
parking lot size changes with that, you're saying?
correct. The parking lot size was driven by the size of the spaces. So if we're making
Okay.
smaller spaces, we would be shrinking the size of the parking lot. But with that said, we were asked to add additional length of sidewalk and connect the Lake Road sidewalk to the front of our building. So overall, we did still reduce the amount of pavement on the property, but not as much as if we had just changed the parking size spaces, if that makes sense.
But the sidewalk is off-site. It doesn't play into
The
that
sidewalk
calculation.
now, yep, it does cross into the
Yeah,
town
right-
property now
Right down by Route
because
6, okay. All right.
yep, and Mr. Halsey, we did extend the sidewalk onto our property to connect the sidewalk adjacent to our front main entrance to Lake Road. So we added a decent amount of sidewalk onto the property.
Okay, you indicated you were waiting for some approvals, one on the community well through the Department of Public Health, I believe, and a couple of DOT approvals. Would that be both the curb cut and a drainage?
Yeah, so
For the
there's-
cross culvert. I'm curious if you could give me any sort of time frame as to what the review process is on that. You have any
Absolutely.
idea?
Yep. So, for the DOT, we are applying for one permit. It's an encroachment permit. What they look at is the entire project holistically. So they're looking at the site plan, the traffic, and the drainage. Each of the departments within the DOT will reviewing all those aspects of the plan and issue us one permit. They've already reviewed this once, have requested a couple of things, one of which was the traffic impact study that we just talked about. That was all resubmitted to them as well. Typically, they take 2 to 3 months to review. So I would expect that given what we just resubmitted, it'd probably be in another month and a half, we would have an approval from them. The second approval that we need to obtain from the state is for the well. It's a transient non-community well, given the retail use. This is a 3-step process. It starts now, which we've started with our well designer, but it's not completed until the well is installed, the water is tested, and the plumbing is actually functional. So it's a 3-step process that goes all the way until building is constructed and a CO is issued. So that is not something that this commission could wait for, because it's incremental as the progresses. But that would be done concurrently with this, the DOT, and then a building permit, and then construction. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you don't think I answered them for you.
I have one more. You did indicate that you would provide a volume and page on the easement for the drainage easement, the down gradient, for the down gradient property on the other side of Route 6. And there's a right to drain, also called, that you offered actually in your response to Mr. Hanfield's report, I believe. Well,
Yep. So I believe the peer review's comment is in regards to the property adjacent to us, not across Route 6. So the comment is a culvert is proposed at the southwest corner of the property, which receives flow from the developed property to the south. So that is referring to the plumbing business that's already there. I'll just share my screen real quick just so I can point this out so everybody can follow along. So 1 second. So that is comment number C1 from the peer review engineer. So I'll just jump back to the plan here. So currently, and I'll just draw this in blue so everybody can see, currently this property is higher than this property. So in general, right now, water flows in this direction.
Yep.
Right now, if I go back to, let me just see, to the survey. Second. So you can see my previous arrow. Everything flows to the culvert here and then goes under Route 6. Obviously, as we develop this property, the water from the neighbors still needs to flow in this direction, and we still want it to connect to the state system in Route 6. I believe the goal of that comment from the peer review engineer was to make sure that we're still allowing that to happen. So I'm just going to move forward to our grading and drainage plan real quick. So the majority of their water does flow along a swale along this boundary here. We obviously want to make sure that that water doesn't affect our building, but we understand that the water still needs to flow through our property to the state system. So we are making provisions for this water to continue to flow onto our property and then down to the state. So that response about the right to drain, we are happy to provide language and an easement so this neighbor is protected and can still let his water pass through this property that we're trying to develop.
Okay, and one question, maybe it's there and I didn't see it, but who makes the assessment that that culvert can carry the water? I mean, it's a DOT culvert.
Yes, the existing culvert that is under Route 6, that is a DOT pipe. That drainage system is being reviewed by the DOT.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I just want to mention the fire marshal. I know that you had made inquiry of the fire marshal, who responded with a number of questions, two of which I answered and the others of which you answered, but we don't have a definitive answer from him as yet. He hasn't had an opportunity to respond, seeing as I know that I only responded to him today. So want to note that that's an open question at this point, in my mind.
Yeah.
He hasn't given a definitive.
I can just I can let the commission and the public know that the fire marshal was asking about a Knox box, which is a box obviously that would be mounted to the building or a door that would have a key, and in the event of emergency that they'd be able to access and get into the building. The applicant is happy to provide that at a location specified by the fire marshal. And then the other question the fire marshal had was whether there would be a fire alarm as part of the building, and our response said that it was not. It's not required. We don't have intention of putting it in at this time.
But he went into, my point being is he went into where all this water was coming from in the event of a fire, and there was no definitive answer as far as, he didn't really come to a conclusion as far as I could tell. I wanted to follow up on that, and I just to make sure that that's in the record. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agent Halsey. Anything else for us now that you've asked your questions of the applicants? Or do you have any more information you want to share with us at this point?
I do not. I may be premature, but I did post comments, written comments that were submitted to me are posted on the website, and I just want to make sure they get into the public record in some fashion, whether they're read into the public record, whether they're read by commissioners, I believe is up to you.
I will read those into the public record after we get done hearing from the other members of the public who are with us here tonight.
You don't want to forget about that. Okay. Thank you.
At this point, I'll open the meeting up to the commissioners. Any questions or comments that you might have for the applicants this evening? And Ann, because not everybody wants to talk at once, Ann Cremay will let you as vice chair go first.
I don't have any big things. I've been watching all of these presentations and looking at all the plans, and it looks very good to me. I can't see any problems. So,
Scott Person, any comments or questions?
I had a bunch of questions, but most of them have been answered, except for one. The water that flows from the west to the east along that swale, is that all that water is going to be going under the highway? It shows that it goes into that subsurface galleys also. So is it going across the highway or is it going into the galleys?
Matt, you want to take that?
Yep. Absolutely. I'll just share my screen one more time and just go back to that plan. So Mr. Pearson, right, so the blue arrows obviously indicate the water that we're receiving from the plumbing business. So that will continue to flow in that fashion.
Matt, that you're not,
as the architect. Sorry, wrong screen. I'm sorry. You think after 2 years at home, I'd be better at that, so I apologize. So let me just show that again, right? So the water from the neighbors, I'm gonna do this in blue. As mentioned by the architect, the roof pitches this way. So the water from the roof is gonna be captured in this pipe and go to this swale and follow along the same path as the blue arrows. The water that does fall within the parking lot, so any of the new paved area for this business will be captured by the catch basins that are spread around. All of that water flows to the subsurface infiltration system, this pink box that I just drew. This is an open galley system, so we're hoping to push as much water as possible back into the ground to recharge groundwater. That's really the goal. Any water that would not be able to get recharged would discharge and flow into Route 6, into the culvert under Route 6, following the blue, green, and pink arrows. So
that's why it shows
the goal of this is obviously. Yep, go ahead.
That's why it shows it's still connected to the underground stormwater.
Yes. Absolutely.
So it's overflow that's going across the highway.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And all right. Yeah, and I had the same thing, the fire marshal approval. You're still working on that though, right?
We responded, we got those comments today. We responded this afternoon. And as Mr. House said, just waiting for his final confirmation back.
Okay, I'm all set. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve Nelson, I saw you joining us. I don't see your picture right this minute. Are you here?
I'm here, Jed. Let me turn my video on. Yeah, one question I had, and as a commission, we've been doing a lot of work on the signage allowances. This is a retail space. Matt, could you talk about the what your plans are for signage?
Absolutely, Mr. Nelson. So I think it was mentioned, let me do that again. Mentioned by the applicant before, there's no defined tenant at this time, but we did want to talk about that because I know it was a request from the town. So I'll just show you a couple different things here. So this is the site plan. So we do call out a proposed freestanding sign location. As you can see here at the corner. So that would be one freestanding sign that would be proposed. Obviously, the size of that and the height of that would be per your zoning regulations. So I will show you the other plan that we have here. We did create a mock-up of some plans. So we did create this monument freestanding sign, brick base, with some gooseneck down lighting. For a future tenant here, right? 8-foot overall height, 6 feet wide. And then here as well, we propose to have one building on the sign as well. Black lettering, gooseneck lighting, I guess, obviously size to conform to your zoning regulations as well. So we did provide that, Mr. Nelson. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Steve?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Jed.
Did Leanne Hutchinson join us? I didn't see her in my crowd here either.
Yes, I'm here.
There you are. Okay, I recognize that number now. Any comments or questions, Leanne?
I guess, no, not, I just have one. It's kind of a question and or a comment. And we know without having seen the things that I guess most or all of us haven't seen yet on the website. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just wondering about the idea of having one entrance on Lake Road and then entering this proposed property versus having another driveway cut on Route 6. So again, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if one would be quite a bit safer than the other or not. That's all.
Leanne, I'm happy to address that if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, go ahead and
So
go ahead, Matt.
yeah. So I'll just jump back to the site plan here. So Leanne, the original plan was when thinking about it, just to if we had only one driveway, it would be on Route 6. That's the busiest road of the two. So the goal would be to attract businesses and employers and anybody that would come on that road. So that would be the one driveway that we'd want. Getting further into the design process, we were aware that the town is pursuing development kind of across Lake Road in regards to the walking trails and bike trails associated with this area, and that a secondary entrance here, along with the sidewalk improvements that we're proposing to make, would be complementary to the future kind of development of this area. Again, we don't see this as the major entrance. We see this as more of a secondary entrance, especially given that it's close to the adjacent business that's already there. So I would say that the two are both important and do play a role, with Route 6 being the more important one. And if I just want to move a little bit further forward, just so the public can see this, we do anticipate for a business of this size, a one delivery, tractor trailer delivery a week. And that is accommodated only by the Route 6 entrance. And you can see the truck turn that's displayed on the screen now, being able to enter and leave from Route 6. This is showing the conservative path. If it were to be moving in the other direction, it would also be able to make that turn. We do not anticipate or want to promote any truck traffic on Lake Road. But there are two entrances that could be used by employees and shoppers.
So just to be clear, this is Leanne again, would you be sharing the existing driveway entrance on Lake Road?
No, the plumbing business, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, they have their own driveway entrance. We are looking to add a second entrance to Lake Road dedicated to this business.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Susan England, any comments or questions?
Yes, Jed, I just wanted to say that most of the questions I have been already answered through the presentation, and most of mine did concern traffic issues, and I will be looking at the traffic report now that it's going to be posted. And I also just wanted to add for the record that I thought this was a very well thought out proposal and addressed our regulations very thoroughly.
I'll say thank you, Susan. I'm sure Matt and his team shares that. Thank you. Ann Blanchard, any comments or questions?
I don't think so. Like Susan, most of my questions have already been answered by everybody else's questions in their presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ann. And I'm looking for Kevin Arneson. I didn't see him here. Are you with us tonight, Kevin?
On here, Jed. I was just hiding in one of the corners. So no, I don't have any questions or comments at this time. I thought the application was very thorough, so can turn it over.
Oh, including alternative.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I guess I'll look at my notes here to see if I have any for tonight. Matt, in one of the response comments, you made reference. The question is about the berm going from the sidewalk that you build on Lake Road up to Lake Road so we can have the crosswalk going across into that parking area. And I thought you had put some comment there that referenced that you didn't think that was a safety issue to not do that. I didn't understand that comment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I can bring that up as well. Hold on, let me see if I can find the exact one you're talking about. Yes, I believe it was this comment here, number 3B. Yeah, so I'll just read it out loud for the public if you can't see it. So it says, a new sidewalk landing connecting the proposed sidewalk with Lake Road at the southeastern corner of the site is recommended to allow the interconnection to the rail trail corridor with the new sidewalk. So Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to bring up the site plan. So we did, oh, let me just change colors here so it's actually, you can actually see it. Hold on. So we are showing obviously a sidewalk along Lake Road, and we had stopped it here previously. We are continuing it onto the push button, which I believe is already is installed and used now, even though there's no other sidewalks. I believe the peer review engineer was looking to add a kind of a curb ramp and exit to have pedestrians potentially cross this way as I'm drawing the arrow, which would be across Lake Road. The only reason we kind of push back a little bit on that is, I'll just change colors here slightly, across Lake Road, and you can see here in orange, I'm highlighting now, there's an existing guide rail there and curb, and there's no other opposing sidewalk area. So I know that this is a resource area for you guys and you're looking to make improvements over here. We just didn't think pushing people or allowing them to cross in this area would be the safest, just given that there's not a lot of room across the road here with this guide rail for them to stand, nor is there any other sidewalk, I think, planned in this area. If we were to do something, I think it'd be more appropriate a little bit further up. But those mid-block crossings are always a little bit hairy. So that was our thinking with response to that one comment, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I think, the town's desire was to have that extra extension out to the road up where the crosswalk would be in the vicinity of the entranceway off of Lake Road so that we can, get to the parking area on the others. Yes, right in there is be where I put it. That keeps us as far away from Lake Road as we can, but it would kind of tie into allowing us to cross over to the parking area, which we think is where the people will be coming from that head that way.
Sure. If that's the intention, Mr. Chairman, we can certainly make that revision.
And one other question, going back to the picture that you just had up there, can you tell how much room there is between the sidewalk and the edge of Lake Road? I know our public works folks were concerned about how much space there is there to put the snow in the winter and not have it go all over the sidewalk.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the peer review engineer recommended a minimum of an 8-foot wide grass shelf. I believe for that reason, obviously for maintenance. So we are providing that along this side. The only issue, obviously, as I mentioned before, is that does force the sidewalk to come onto private property. But we're happy to provide an easement to make sure we maintain that grass shelf along Lake Road for future maintenance and snow removal.
Okay, and then I guess my third question goes into that maintenance that you just brought up. Would the town would certainly prefer that the store maintain the sidewalk clear of snow in the winter like you do the rest of the sidewalks in your parking there.
Okay. I will, I guess I don't know how that works. I know I shovel my own sidewalk and I don't own the sidewalk, so I think that makes sense. I think most towns do require businesses and residents to maintain sidewalk along their frontage. So I'll just confirm with the applicant, but I think that makes sense. Obviously, if you guys don't have crews that would be shoveling public sidewalks.
Okay, I think that's it for me. At this point, we're going to open up for questions and comments from the public. Abby, do you have the ability to help us call on the different folks one at a time and make sure they're unmuted so that we can hear them and we can start hearing from the town members?
Yep, sounds good. I'm just going to read these off of the participant list order I have here. So first we have Maureen K. You can unmute yourself when you're ready, Maureen.
Okay, I'm ready. I just have one question. I'm just so confused trying to locate the space. I'm not there. I can't drive by. Is it in the lawn of Benjamin Franklin? Is it across the street? Is it on the other side of Ben Franklin? I know exactly where Route 6 and Lake Road come in. I just can't figure it out.
Yes, Maureen, they're talking about the big grassy area in front of Ben Franklin, right on the corner of Lake Road and Route 6, that big grass field.
Beautiful. And is it possible to know which national business is thinking of moving in there? Otherwise, it really sounds good to me. It sounds really nicely thought out, but I'm just curious, is it possible to know which business might do it? And can there be more than one business located within that building?
Well, there will only be one business located in the building. I will turn it over to Matt as to whether or not, last time, a month ago, we asked and there were some non-disclosure agreements in effect. I don't know if we're beyond that or where we are on that. So Matt, if you could answer that question.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for the question, Maureen. Yeah, so we're planning on having one retail tenant, as the chairman said. The applicant is pursuing a few, has not settled on one yet. The ones that we do have are obviously in negotiation, and we do have the NDAs that are still standing. So at this time, no businesses are ready to announce themselves yet.
Get it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's the end of my questions. Thank you.
So next we have a phone number that's ending in 3526. The whole number is, oh, I just lost it. Okay, well, I think they're gone now. So.
Yeah, go on to the next one,
Right.
Abby, and we'll give anybody who we missed a chance at the end.
Okay, great. Next is Bill Warner.
Bill's our consultant for the affordable housing, so I don't think he is going to ask any questions here on this one.
Okay, next is Carrie Crompton.
Go ahead, Carrie.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Carrie.
So next we have Kathleen with a C. Kathleen, I don't have your last name.
Erosiers, no questions, but great presentation.
Okay. Next, we have Chris Bernard. Bernard.
Good evening. Chris Bernard, 58 Merritt Valley Roads. I'm the property directly behind Ben Franklin Plumbing. And as I spoke to before, my primary concern is with traffic. And so I'll definitely want to take a look at that traffic study. But with any addition of any business, while we looked at traffic studies specifically on 6, we all know there's a problem with people kind of flying through that stop sign at the bottom of Lake Road there. And an increased traffic is going to increase that. I also have a problem myself personally, not that this is your all's problem, with just people turning around my driveway. I probably have a dozen people turning around my driveway weekly, and increased traffic is just going to increase that. But the real question I had was, and you kind of touched on it, but there's a lot of parking that goes on across the street for the rail trail. Is that going to cause any problems with cars coming in and out of that, given how they currently park? I could very easily see someone backing out and someone coming out of the store, or even Ben Franklin for that matter. But there will clearly be more traffic coming out of the potential retail store. So is there any definitive plans that have been posted yet? Because I haven't seen anything.
There has not been a definitive plan posted yet. I know the town has plans in the works to pave and improve the area across the street there. I think what is going to occur is a big improvement for the parking situation that is there right now. So I think those modifications will only improve the traffic safety going forward.
Okay, thanks.
Next, we have an email, which is C. Mag Lewis.
Yeah, Catherine, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hear me? Hi, Jed, thank you for doing this. It's appreciated. And apparently I was very mistaken because I was under the impression that anytime a commercial building went up that the town had to vote on it. And obviously I was way off because we don't, but it has to fit into a P&Z plan. So I guess I have a twofold thing. Is one is especially not knowing, which I think is bizarre, not being able to be told what's going in there. What happens if it's something we don't want? I mean, if it could be a strip club for all we know, because nobody's telling us. And if that's the case, is it something that we have to alter what is acceptable to P&Z because we don't get a chance to vote on it? So that's my main concern, that we don't even know what it is.
Well, we do know that it is a retail store. And we know that it is not a strip club because we in fact have a regulation section that's, I think it's entitled adult something or other. But if it was going to be a strip club, there are more regulations that they would have to go through. But that's why, you know, when you look at section 8 on the business district, it has a list of things that whoever crafted the regulation, and it was done before I came on board, but I think it's a pretty reasonable list. The Planning and Zoning Commission came up with a group of things, whether it's offices, medical buildings, drugstores, retail stores, whatever, that somebody in the business district would be able to do as of right if they meet with the regulations that the Planning and Zoning Commission put into effect. There are some other things that are a little, we thought the public might have a little more concern with. And so that would be done by special permit. And in that circumstance, there are some attenuating factors that the commission can take into effect, the impact on the surrounding community, and we might be able to hold that applicant to a higher standard. But that's not what we're talking about in this case. This is on the list of things that if they meet our regulations, and they're ours, they have the right to put in a store. And so that's what the applicant is doing. And so we're looking to see whether or not he meets all our regulations. But what we've seen so far, he's coming pretty close. We might find something, but he has done a good job of presenting his case.
Okay, my only other question was about the water going at Route 6 or under Route 6. If anything does happen to Route 6, whose responsibility is it to fix it? If Route 6 is impaired in any way? That's my.
Are you referring to the water pipe that runs under Route 6?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah. Agent Halsey, can you help me on that? My assumption is that that's a state issue. But I'm just taking a guess, and you're still muted, Jim.
The state of Connecticut would be responsible for that. No doubt in my mind.
And thank you, Catherine. Abby, we're on to the next one.
Okay, next is Diane Grenier. Diane, you can unmute when you're ready.
Oh, I think I'm there.
You're all set.
You can hear me? Okay. First, I'd like to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission for holding this public hearing. I realize you didn't have to, and I think there's a lot of interest in town for this development. And again, I'd like to start by thanking you for that. As most of us know, residents in Andover have been asking, actually begging, for tax relief in the form of new businesses for years. We've made it very clear, I think, what we want and what we don't want. We did not want, and made it very clear, a natural gas infusion station located in the same area. We did not want a dynamite detonator factory that had been proposed at one time. We don't want a big box store. I don't think we want a marijuana a retail store, a strip club, biker bar, and there's a variety of those things we know we don't want. What we really would like in that area would be a restaurant, which is very unlikely because of no sewers, no city water. A family-owned business would be nice and cute. A bank would be wonderful. A lot of people would like to have a bank there, but that's again unlikely since the bank in Columbia just closed. The one in Hebron is cutting their Saturday hours, and the People's Bank in Stop and Shop is left, and people are just basically doing online banking nowadays, and so there's not going to be a bank in that location. A pharmacy is something that people would like, but again, I don't see a pharmacy. A doctor's office would be nice, a small boutique, lawyer's office, real estate office, a little family market. We have a lot of things that we would like there. But one thing, we had that antique store shop over almost on the corner of Lake Road on Route 6 for sale for quite some time, which would have made a wonderful little lawyer's office or real estate office or something like that. But actually there's been no interest whatsoever in that property. Nobody has applied for any of these things that we want. What we do have is this retail store.
Wrap up soon, please.
Okay. I'm getting there. The real store, which would be something to the idea of a Dollar General. And I think what we do want from there is to have it look nice. We don't want a cinder block building, and I think you've done a good job with that. We would like to ask that the back of the store, which is always the utilities and stuff, the dumpster, not be visible from Route 6, block it with vegetation, block it, place a fence around the dumpster so that it's unsightly, so we don't have to look at that. I'm very concerned about the curb cut on Route 6. That's a very dangerous intersection, but I'll let better traffic minds than mine address that. We know that's a dangerous intersection. We know that tractor trailers park on Route 6 there to go to the Extra Mart. I hope they will not be parking on this side to run into the retail store. I would like to see a bike rack installed since we have the bike trail right up there. I'm sure the bikers will be using it. I like the cupola, and I think you're doing a good job. One of the things I want to make sure that you look at is that when we extended Lake Road past Benjamin Franklin, the archaeological department from the state took a look and found a historic building there. They did a whole summer worth of archaeological digs, and they were very, very pleased with that. I don't know if they looked as far down as the empty lot, and I would like to make sure that somebody has contacted the state archaeological department to see if there's any significant findings down there. Basically, I think it's a good job, and I'm all for it. And like I say, just a few little things, and that would be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Diane, I think Matt was shaking his head up and down to a lot of the things. I don't know if you had a chance to see him or not. I do know there's bike racks going in there.
Good.
But the comment that I would like to make addresses the laundry list of things that you said we would like to see. And one of the things that this gives me the opportunity to talk about is a town planner or a town economic development coordinator who is working. There's an awful lot of towns out there that have these staff people working as their job. I won't say, I don't know whether it's full-time or part-time, but they're out there trying to recruit the businesses that the people of the town would like to see to come in. We don't have that, and I'm thankful that as you started out, we've got a business that wants to come into Andover that I think has a nice looking building that will help us out with our tax base. It's been a long time since we have had any glimmer of commercial development in town, and I think we'd like to see more. I think we would like to have it from the list that you mentioned, which is in the town studies that we've done. But we've got to get somebody that's going to go out and work on that, because the other towns do have people that are going out working on those things.
We also have a limited area for commercial development. I mean, it basically has to be along Route 6. And as you had pointed out earlier, we do have that sand lot right across the street from this that there's plans to have that developed soon. So that, I mean, we're going to have the...
And I'd like to cut you off there, Diane. I'll give you a chance after we get to everybody else. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. Thank you for your input, Diane.
So next up, we have Eric Berry.
Hello, so I sent an email in, but I guess I can just read that now since you're calling on me. I will say I'll admit that in my email I did have, as the rumor mills are churning, Dollar General in my email, but I'll use future tenant. So I will say that logo in the presentation does look suspiciously similar to the Dollar General logo. But anyway, my comment is this: I grew up in town on Lakeside Drive, where my parents still live. My wife and I would spend so much time in town visiting family, friends, and neighbors. We recently moved back to the lake area in 2019. And we look forward to starting our family here, mostly because in many ways Andover is an idyllic little New England town. What's not idyllic or quintessential New England is future tenant and their business model of heavily saturating areas and offering cheap throwaway goods and substitute quality. Chains destroy community charm and distinction. Future tenant can never be a Luntz Market. We all remember Luntz Market. I'd love to see a new business that enhances our community coming to town, not one that sends a message of economically impoverished areas, as we tend to see. We see the future tenant, end up showing up in poor urban and rural communities, offering those cheap and unhealthy food options to those with limited economic means. I don't think that's a message we want to send to our neighboring towns and residents. Aside from the unhealthy effects that food items have on a community, litter, and the deterrence of better suited, healthier stores and markets are the byproducts. And so I just would say, I urge you to consider the long-term effects of a kind of a big block, chain store in Andover. And I guess, yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Next, we have Aaron Boris.
Hi there, Aaron Boris, Dogwood Drive. As someone who lives closer to this area, my concern is around the entrance on Route 6 relative to both of the entrances to the mobile. It seems like there are 3 entrances / exits prior to that light. And my concern is there's already been quite a few accidents, some of them pretty significant. And I worry about the utilization of that Route 6 entrance and the basic entrance to mobile right across the street. The graphics are difficult to sort of look at on the Zoom, so I apologize, but can someone speak to the whether or not that turn in is between those 2 turn-ins for mobile? Do they align? Because I mean, there are many people that sort of jam their brakes thinking that person is getting close to the street light when really they're turning left into that mobile heading east on 6. And now we're going to have someone turning right and left possibly prior to that light. So that's my concern.
Pat, can you address the issue with the
Yeah.
driveway relative to the mobile station?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, Matt Bruton for the record. If you guys can see my shared screen right now with the aerial, this is just the best way to show it to you. So the Duncan and the mobile, there's 2 entrances on Route 6. We are obviously developing the grass patch here. So the driveway on Lake Road would be roughly where my mouse is right now. The Route 6 driveway is roughly where this car and vehicle are, where my mouse is hanging over now. So they're not lined up. They're south. The mobile driveways are almost directly across from the tree farm. So the reason for your concern, I think, is the same reason the DOT requested a traffic study. I know that there's been some accidents along Route 6. So, but I'm confident now that we have the study completed and we're resubmitting it back to them, that they will be looking at that and agreeing with us that the proposed development won't have any detrimental impacts to the surrounding areas.
Thank you.
Also, just to add on that a little bit, I was surprised. I expected the traffic study that we were briefed on tonight to be not quite so green with respect to, I had the perception there were several significant accidents in the vicinity out there too. The traffic study didn't show that. And so I guess, we'll go review there. I was kind of hoping that at some point that, the traffic exiting onto Route 6 would be a right turn only, as people entering from Route 6 would be a right turn only into the lot. But that's a want, and that is not what we base our decisions on here. So that's why I want to take a good look at the traffic study before we wrap this up, because it's different than what I was expecting to hear.
All right, so next we have Jennifer. I just don't have your last name, Jennifer. So if you could tell me that, that would be great. It's Jennifer's iPad 2. Okay, I can circle back to you once you're good. So after Jennifer, we have Liz Lokiak.
Yep, hi. Yeah, I just would kind of echo the traffic concern. I'm all for bringing business into town. And Jeb, you said exactly what I was thinking, that the driveway in front of Route 6 maybe could be just a right turn only. Maybe that's nice to have. I am concerned about crossing traffic with there being, the gas station across the street, and now with the potential of future development. But otherwise, great presentation, and I look forward to the tax dollars. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Liz.
So next we have Joe. Joe, if you could remind me of your last name, that would be great.
Yes, my name is Joseph Poland, and I'm located at 300 Lake Road. I'm quite concerned about the amount of traffic that's going to be dumped on Lake Road. Right now, Lake Road has excessive traffic on it. It's a small rural road that winds around the lake. It has excessive traffic in the morning, and in the afternoon, people are trying to access Columbia with a shortcut through Lake Road over to Erdoney Road. And it's a hazardous situation. They're going through there well over 25 miles an hour. And I'm very concerned with that, with the additional traffic that this retail facility is going to dump on Lake Road. And let me point this out. Between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Route 6, we frequently have backups at both stoplights down at 316 near the post office. It backs up beyond the post office, and we have backups at the stoplight at Lake Road and Route 6. Now, if we have these backups there, what it's going to do, it's going to prevent retail customers to exit onto Route 6. So what they're going to do is they're going to exit onto Lake Road, the alternate exit, and then they're going to use Lake Road to go over to Columbia. So Lake Road is going to become a thoroughfare for Columbia residents, and it's going to be totally untenable for us residents that live on Lake Road. Apparently, the traffic people did not look at the backups that occur during maximum between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. in the afternoon at both of those lights, which is going to preclude the use of the exit to the retail facility on Route 6. So everything is going to be processed out through the Lake Road exit. And then that's going to create a problem with all the people who are parked at the town facility for the rails to trails. They'll be backing out of the parking spots for the rail to trails while the retail customers are coming out of the Lake Road exit.
Okay, your 2 minutes is about up.
Let me point out one other thing. Right now, there's a safety hazard right there on Lake Road. There's a stop sign at Merritt Valley Road. There's a pedestrian stop sign at the rails for trails. They're within 50 feet of each other. This is terrible traffic handling, terrible. And it's going to be worse with the exit onto Lake Road from this retail facility. I'm totally against that exit. And for my final point, we do not want tractor trailer traffic going down Lake Road. There should be signs put up preventing traffic trailer going down Lake Road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
So next up, we have Catherine Hutchinson. Is she not on anymore?
Unmuting. Thank you. I was having trouble unmuting. I have no questions.
Thank you, Catherine.
So next up, we have Louise. And Louise, if you could tell me your last name, that would be great.
Hi, Louise Goodwin, 91 Lakeside. How you doing? I got a question in regards to handicap parking and if the building is going to be handicapped accessible.
Matt, you want to discuss the accessibility?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Let me just pull up the plan here again. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I'll just circle it again real quick. So the entrance is obviously here in the corner. We do show 2 handicap accessible parking spaces with a handicap accessible path to the main entrance of the building. For those of you that are familiar with the handicap accessibility, the number of parking spaces on the entire parking lot drives how many are required. So anything under 50 parking spaces, you require 2 parking spaces, which we have shown. If we were to have more, we would have been required to have more, but we have 35 spaces. We're showing 2 handicap accessible spots. So it will be handicap accessible to either a handicapped employee or customer.
Anything else, Louise?
No, that should do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Marcy Minor. Marcy, you can go ahead.
Hi,
Yeah, I got it on mute. I just wanted to thank you, Planning and Zoning, for putting this meeting out here. I know you didn't have to, and I really appreciate it. Really good presentation. Looks like you've answered all of a lot of questions and questions we didn't even have, so appreciate it. Looks good. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy.
Next up, we have Maria Tolman.
Hi, yes, Maria Tolman, 139 Hebron Road. I'd just like to say that I agree with the comments made by Eric Berry regarding a retail store in town. I think it would change the character of our town a lot. I'd be more in favor of some of Diane Granier's ideas, such as restaurant or doctor's office, but not a retail store. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Next, we have Pat Grimaldi.
Hi, thanks for having this meeting and giving the townspeople a chance to see what's going on. I have my semester with Joe. I'm really concerned about the tractor.
Pat, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if you can get closer to the mic or turn your
Oh,
volume
sorry.
up.
Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. Just again, I wanted to thank you for putting this meeting together and giving the townspeople an opportunity to hear what's going on. I had been down to Ben Franklin area, and the sign for the meeting had been knocked down. So thanks for the town for also, sending out the electronic notifications. But I have the same sentiments as Joe, as tractor trailer traffic is a concern coming up Lake Road. In the event they have to go a different way. The last accident, which involved an accident in front of the Dunkin' Donuts, the traffic was derailed, came around Lake Road, and it had to be a large truck or tractor trailer knocked out both mailboxes to our properties at 357 and 353 Lake Road. So if there's anything that can be done to deter, tractor trailers from taking a right-hand turn out of the Lake Road entrance, that would be wonderful. Maybe taking down those big trees at Ben Franklin, in which people just have the habit of throwing their nip bottles under, would be wonderful. To hopefully we can see more people coming on and off that trail, just to make it a little bit more safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
So next up, we should have Richard Wilson. Richard, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey guys, how you doing? Rick Wilson, 428 Lake Road. Two biggest concerns. One was definitely the traffic. The traffic report that was done or that was resubmitted back, will that be posted that we can take a look at it anywhere online?
That will be posted if it's not already. I saw it for the first time this afternoon, and so it might not be posted yet, but it will be.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I believe it is.
It is posted? Okay, perfect. I mean, going back to Joe had some absolute valid points about the lake. My personal concern is that curb cut. I think that's just a nightmare it's going to be a nightmare, a disaster waiting to happen. My second main concern is really with the non-disclosure. That's fine. You want a retail store. They can meet all the requirements of planning and zoning. However, vape shops, very intimate pleasures, all of these will fall into the retail category. What say do the townspeople actually have in deciding what kind of retail store we find acceptable to keep the charm and character of our town? And furthermore, can we alter Section 8 of Planning and Zoning to go back to a voting style, go back to voting for what specific businesses us town people want to see in the town?
Well, to answer your question, of course, we can change, Section 8 of the regulations. It would have no impact on the application we're talking about now. And I would have to look to see whether or not changing, what we would change and whether or not it would make sense. We could restrict it more, but I think when the regulations were constructed, a retail store in a business zone, that's about as benign as you can get. And so,
Depending on the business.
depending upon the business, but a retail store is a retail store. And again, I think we have been looking for something to provide tax relief coming into town. I've lived in town only 12 years, so I know I'm still a new guy. Right after we got here in 2010 was the experience that Diane talked about with the gas infusion plant. And certainly, the town made it clear that they didn't want that. I don't know how that actually played out. Wasn't that familiar with it at
Well,
the
I
time.
remember clearly, but if they cross their T's and dot their I's, you were saying that the townspeople wouldn't have a say. But we did. We stood up and we shut it down. How are we able to do it for the gas plant, but not say, a retail business that we don't want in town?
I don't know what happened to the gas plant. All I can tell you is that with our regulations, the way they are written today, and I don't think they're bad, there may be an unintended consequence here, but I think our regulations are sound. The town people don't have a say until there's a couple of options. You can volunteer to get on the Planning and Zoning Commission and have a say in what those regulations are. We will be coming up. The other guiding document for the Planning and Zoning Commission is the town's Plan of Conservation and Development. And that's also listed, that's posted online on the Planning and Zoning website. And that is a document that gets updated every 10 years. The last one was issued in 2015. So as it turns out, we're going to start working on the next edition of that coming up within the next year or so. And in that, we're going to be reaching out to the town. And I hope we get just as good a participation then as we do tonight to tell us what the town wants so that we can make the regulations support what the town wants. And that's how the planning and zoning works. We take our marching orders from the Plan of Conservation and Development, which is crafted with the input from the town to try and give the people of the town what it is they're looking for.
No, I appreciate the response. And the presentation was very good, and everybody's comments were very good as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
So finally, I have someone on their iPhone who's Stephen.
Yeah, I have no questions.
That's everyone I have, but please let me know if I skipped you or missed you.
Yeah, I see Catherine's raising her hand again. So Catherine?
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. Here's my only, that's not my only, I always have something, but here's my thing. For a long time, I've hoped that the EDC and the P&Z would work closely together, and we don't, and I think we need to. The other thing is, I wish that we would wait and look long-term as to what Andover needs and what Andover would be like, and could be like. I am currently working with UConn, who is coming in August, and their students are coming in, and it's a professor of landscape and architecture, to see what they can do to revise Andover. And I have a big picture in my head of what I would love Andover to really look like. And it would be quaint with nice shops, with a bakery, with a coffee shop, and not, I think, what we're looking for. But I would like to wait on anything else, if we can't wait on this one, to see what plans we could make for Andover and what Andover could be, rather than just what it is now. And let's see, they're going to come up with 12 different possibilities, and we can choose one, we can combine them. But I think it would be good to work with you guys and with UConn and do workshops and see what we can make. And hopefully I'm also working with some people to maybe get a group of developers and investors in here, because that's the only way we're going to do anything in Andover. So I would really like the ability to work together on that if we could. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And Diane, did you have anything else you wanted to share with us?
Oh, I think I'm done. But like I say, I thank you again, and I think this was a great meeting. I'm glad there were so many people came out to participate, and I think they did a good job with the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, did we miss anybody? Anybody here that wanted to comment or question and didn't get a chance?
Did I bring up again the comments that are on the website?
Okay, and so I will try to get there again now. Abby, if you can allow me to share my screen again.
You should be able to still, but let me give it a shot and let me know if you need help. Looks good.
Well, I guess first, for anybody who doesn't know about our town's website, this when you click on the Andover website and you go to government, you get the different we're under boards and commissions, planning and zoning's elected, and so we can click on that. That gets us to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then click on submitted pending applications if you're interested in what's coming down. And the only one that we've got listed there right now is the one we're talking about, 580 Lake Road. Sue Feinberg sent in a comment thought that a commercial building where we already got traffic light could be a wonderful thing. She just wasn't sure that, I guess her comment is similar to Eric Berry and several others who weren't, who thought there were better things that could go in there. What we've got is somebody who's wanting to come in, and as long as they meet the requirements, they'll be allowed to do that. So that was Susan's comment. I know we had James Cole here. We got a comment from Abby Cole. Similar comment about the kind of retail store that we were just talking about. Marcy Miner was here tonight. She was able to speak to hers, as was Eric Berry, and then Ryan Fitch. Ryan Fitch is the owner of the tree farm next door, and he was just hoping that possibly the applicant would put up a 6-foot fence to keep people from coming over onto his property. He was concerned about theft of trees and that. So anyhow, that was Ryan's comments that he provided to us. And I think that was it. So we've heard from the public. We've heard from the commissioners. Let me get back to my agenda here. I think so. We're looking to close or continue the public hearing. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all you folks again. I intend to continue the public hearing to the next meeting because we do have significant interest in the traffic, and And we do want to have a chance to take a good look at the traffic study and the response to our engineer's letter and that sort of thing, to make sure that in fact, while the applicant is trying very hard to meet all the regulations we have, we want to give a fair shot at making sure he does that, and as the people of the town would expect. So we will continue the public hearing at our next meeting, which is April 18th. And following that, we will adjourn the public hearing. So we will immediately call to order the regular meeting at 8:45. Leanne, did you have a comment or question?
Yes, before we move on, just quickly, two quick things. It's just occurring to me after people speak, I don't know if it's a possibility to have the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit extended through this, currently through the center of town, extended down to the area that this would entail. And I know someone on, I believe, Lake Road had concerns about possible tractor-trailer traffic. I understood Matt to say earlier that there'd only be one tractor-trailer a week, dropping merchandise off for this store, whatever it is. So if that's correct, Matt, that made me feel a little better, because I just was assuming, without knowing what it is, that there'd be more tractor-trailers than that. And I realize that that's not the same thing as if there is an accident and then more tractor-trailers, whether they're related to this project or not, may get routed around the lake. I realize that's a separate question. I'm just mentioning a couple more things for next month. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Leanne. And there is no intention that the tractor trailers leaving the retail store would turn right on Lake Road and go that way, unless there was an accident or something. They would all hang a left and go right out to Route 6 to go back wherever it was that they came from.
Right, that's what I meant, everything else.
Yeah, and I also agree that one of the easy things for the state to do, and it's a state thing, would be to start that 40-mile-an-hour speed limit a little further on the other side of the stoplight, and instead of on this side, to slow traffic down and give everybody a fighting chance. So, okay.
Yeah, Chairman Larson, is it fair to say that under new business, we will not be discussing this application any further? And I'm asking for the benefit of the applicant, who may not want to sit around.
I do not expect to have any further discussion. I think we've had plenty of discussion, good discussion. Whenever I had a public hearing and got input from the people, it's always been very beneficial. There's always something that comes up that I hadn't thought about and gives me a chance to think about it. So I appreciate the input from all the members here, but I think we have probably exhausted our discussion on 580 Lake Road for tonight. We'll take it up again next month. So with that in mind, the public hearing is adjourned. 8:48 now. I will call the regular meeting to order. Roll call, seating of alternates. I think I see Ann Cremay is here, Scott Person, Steve Nelson, Leanne Hutchinson, and myself. So we've got a full commission. We'll be seating no alternates. No addition or changes to the agenda. I'm going to Bill Warner, are you still with us here at all? I may have lost Bill already. I know he had something else he was going to do. I was hoping that we could get him on for a few minutes before he had to take off at 9 o'clock. He may have recognized that we weren't going to have much time for him. But so addition or changes to the agenda, we will eliminate the new business. And with no Bill Warner here, we will eliminate the update on affordable housing plan. Jim, did you ever get a hold of Chris Bell for an update on the gravel operation?
Yes. No activity. Hopefully, things will start again shortly. And we basically agreed that a restoration plan would be more appropriate when the end product's sort of a given, unknown. He was putting together a restoration plan based on some assumptions, and there was some concern about that. So hopefully we'll know exactly what he's taking out of there before that restoration plan comes back to the commission.
Okay.
That's it.
So we'll eliminate item 5, new business, and item 6A and B under old business. And we'll vote by unanimous consent. Anybody opposed, say aye. All in favor, raise their hand.
I'm sorry, Jed, what is this to do to move on?
Oh. Yes, this is just to move on. These are eliminations from our agenda for tonight.
Okay,
We're
that's
gonna
what I thought.
eliminate.
So as far as Chris Bell and the Extramar property, he would, I'm assuming, Jim, that this means he wouldn't come back all in one night and expect this to be approved. He'd come back when he has more to go on, so to speak, and when he has more information about what's been removed from the site, but not wait till what might be their last night to do all of this at once.
Correct.
To tell us about all of what's, okay, so there would be.
I mean, he did
we don't do it this
request,
month,
it was
would be.
received a 6-month extension, which gives him a lot of time. And I know this is, he's had a lot of things slowing him down, but hopefully, this is the season to get material out of there, and hopefully he's on it. Or the applicant is on it.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to establish that, I know we just did the extension last month. I just wanted to establish that there's going to be at least one more opportunity before that's up, where he's going to come speak to us again.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, thank you.
So getting back to the elimination of the 3 items we just talked about, all in favor, raise your hand. In the end, you have to, okay, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next item up is actually our alcohol and cannabis regs. And so anyhow, everybody who joined us for 580 Lake Road who doesn't want to stay, certainly you can leave. Or if you just want to see what else Planning and Zoning Commission's up to, you can stick around and we'll share a little bit of that with you. But I'm going to try and share my screen and call up so at the last meeting, I got, we talked about the alcohol cannabis regs, and I think I put everything in here that we had talked about. So we've got, excuse me just a minute, my dog is wanting to go outside, so I got to go find Janet and see if she takes care. There we are. Thank you. Anyhow, so for bars, nightclubs, and taverns, we got rid of the difference from the town line. And down here, we changed the radius of 200 feet from the Hop River State Park Trail. And so that was intended, we noted that the Hop River Trail was within 500 feet of our business section, and we wanted to give them a fighting chance to put in that restaurant that we were all looking for and serve some alcohol and that sort of thing. So we loosened up the restriction there. But does anybody have any questions or comments on 17.0? Okay, I'm going to go to the package and cannabis stores. And we did about the same thing. We kept a lot of the 500-foot requirements in there. We did, like up above for a school, we specified the elementary school so that, the dance school that we've got halfway between the package store and Andover Pizza, isn't an issue. We specified the elementary school, which I think we were concerned about. And then we also reduced it down to 200 feet from the Hop River State Park Trail. Now, I know during the public hearing, somebody mentioned the fact that we might not want a cannabis shop in town. The Board of Selectmen issued either a letter, ordinance, or something saying that Andover would be pleased to have one in town. And so I didn't put anything in our zoning regulations that would restrict that. Because we thought that's what the people of the town might think was reasonable. And oh, by the way, the town gets 3% of the a 3% tax on all the sales at a cannabis shop. So that is what I'm thinking for the cannabis regs.
Can I just make a comment? I noticed I had the opportunity to travel to the state of Washington a couple of years ago. And out there, they already had the cannabis stores. And there was one right above a restaurant that we went to one night. And they have a lot of signs up saying you can't consume it there or around that area. You had to bring it back to your home and use it there. It was an interesting thing that I don't know if anybody's thought of around here yet, but they seem to be pretty common out in the state of Washington. You often saw places selling cannabis, but they had signs saying that had to be consumed at your own home. That's probably was zoning too.
Yep, well, and I agree, Ann, and my take on that is that might not, I don't think that's a zoning issue. I'm not exactly sure where that goes, but I think that's either a state issue or it's got to be determined by the Board of Selectmen on where you can consume cannabis. We're talking about where you might be able to sell it.
Right. Okay.
And I did not want to get into where we might consume it, but I'm sure that there are some strong feelings about that. I stood clear of it because I didn't think that belonged in our zoning regulations.
Probably not. Okay.
There already is a regulation in the town, no consuming of cannabis on town property.
Okay. Yep. Thanks, Scott. So back a while ago, we had run through a bunch of odds and ends from the changes to add frontage, to eliminate being able to build in a flood-prone zone. A lot of different little things there. I still got that list, and I'm going to put the alcohol cannabis stuff with that now. In the third piece of the pie that I'm going to work on in one grand gesture is going to be the sign regulations. And I'd like to run through there tonight to just highlight for you what I've added since the last time you looked at it. And as I said in the email when I sent them all out, I am done working on it now. So when the commission is happy and has no other comments, we will send them to Mark Branch to get his concerns with all three of the different items here. Then they have to go for 2 months out to, I forget the government entity, the CROG, that gets to have a chance at reviewing our changes. And then it would be a couple, so that would take 2 months. And then sometime in July, maybe we can go to public hearing and discuss the comments on our regulations and get them implemented. So that's where we are there. Stop sharing and so this is the latest, and you should all have it. Just going through in section 24 of our regulations are a bunch of definitions. And Mark Branch, crafted this new definition of what is a sign. And I was going to put it in chapter 24. And I came to, I wrestled with, do the definitions go in the individual sections or do they go there? And I made my decision based on if a definition was only in one particular section of the regulations, that's where I would put the definition. If a definition like frontage or something like that was sprinkled throughout our regulations, then that should be in section 24. So with that, I cut and pasted the sign definition and added it here. And I think it makes sense that we had some idea of what a sign was. The next thing I did was I added a political position signs. And these are signs pertaining to public policy issues, excluding those for which an election or other date certain event is involved. So this is a sign like we support our police or defund the police, all those kind of things. That is a political position sign. And we'll see that everybody has a right to have one. And we won't constrain what goes on that sign, but we will constrain the size of it a little bit. Next, I added special event and election temporary signs because I wanted the political position signs. I can't say when you take them down. I wanted to make sure that while people wanted to put the election signs up sooner, that we got them taken down 7 days after the election. So I defined the election temporary sign that way. Special event signs like tag sale, the firemen having their steak fry, that kind of stuff. And then I noticed that we had a lot, every now and then properties got a no trespass sign. I thought that didn't have a bracket in it, so I added words about a no trespass sign. And so put some regulations on that as well. Also added banner signs. And here is, I'm not exactly sure how these are all going to work out yet, but what I wanted to make sure we didn't do was have a big banner draped across the bridge on the rail trail over Route 316. And so we've got, so I wanted to define a banner sign, which also includes flags and that sort of thing. But I didn't want somebody hanging the banner up on our walking trail thing. Oh, and I also noticed that I got the numbering off here. I tried hard to get all my stuff looking better, but I got 215.2.1. So I'll have to go, I missed one there, and that makes all these wrong too. But anyhow, the other thing, when I was talking with Mark Branch about signs, he seemed concerned about an artificially illuminated sign being directly illuminated or indirectly illuminated. And while I put no restrictions on these definitions there, we just say illuminated signs. At some point we might, and so while I had examples of definitions for those, the directly illuminated sign is a sign that's got a light bulb internal to the sign and makes it show up. Indirectly illuminated is where we put a spotlight on the sign. But in all cases, we want to make sure that that lighting doesn't interfere with your ability to drive down the road and have good night vision and all that stuff. So I added those. Let's see. Vehicular sign. We had talked about, I think we talked about the Good Shepherd's Kennel or something. I saw the bus parked out on a little area next to Route 6, didn't think that was appropriate. And so I wanted to define what a vehicular sign was. So I put in that as well. On the following signs are prohibited. And we had mechanical signs before, sky signs. I added roof signs to that. That was based, Mark Brandt said, "Are you sure you want these?" And I looked at examples of roof signs, which are signs mounted on the roof of buildings and that. I said, no, we could do without those here in Andover. So I eliminated that too. The billboard signs before, here was my stab at the vehicular thing. And I said any vehicular or other sign on wheels when repeatedly parked or displayed in a manner that may be in public view and not in the location which is used for transportation purposes, which is customary for said vehicle. I don't know if I got those words perfect yet. There's always going to be a problem where you got the box truck, especially for a home occupation, the box truck parked in the driveway that's got the advertising on the side and that sort of thing. And that's why I put the words parked in a place not normally where the vehicle would normally be parked there. So anyhow, that's that. Take a look at that. If we get any, if you got any hard spot, think that's wrong, let me know.
Hey, Jed.
Yes, Steve.
Question on the roof signs in the
Yep.
review, the public hearing we just had on the new commercial property. The lettering they show on the roof, would that be considered a roof sign?
That is not a roof sign.
Okay.
And I see if it jumps out at me here. It is a flat sign, which is the sign placed on the wall or other exterior surface of a building extending no higher above the roof level than the eaves or the top of the parapet. So we can still, and I would expect to have signs there. In fact, the one that really came into question was when you go down to Andover Plaza, I questioned whether those were roof signs on the top because they're on the shingling, but it's on that steep shingling on the side. And talking over to Mark Branch, he convinced me that those were not roof signs. Roof signs are things that are mounted on the roof going even higher, which would in no way be able to meet that 10-foot requirement that we've got in our regulations that apply to all signs.
Okay, so in the case of this new development, it would be on the gable end, so it would be a wall rather than the roof, right?
Right, yep.
Okay, thank you.
I put no banner signs except where specifically authorized by the Board of Selectmen. There may be, we've got a big anniversary of Andover coming up in the not too distant future. Maybe we would like to put a banner across the highway or something. I don't know. But if the Board of Selectmen, want it there, we can probably do it on a temporary basis. And then I added what was already in an ordinance: no signage shall be at the Veterans Monument. And that's, we've already got a town ordinance, but I was thinking, well, if we're making sign regs and we don't want signs there at the Veterans Memorial, why don't we put that in our sign regs? So I did. Let's see, 15 point. Up here, I put no sign will have letters taller than 15 inches. Now, I think on the presentation that Matt showed us tonight, those letters may have been 18 inches. We don't have any restrictions in our regs right this minute at all. And so 18 inches, would have to be fine for the current application out there. 15 inches, Mark Branch was, he's not big on a lot of signs for, he doesn't want Andover to look like the Las Vegas Strip. I don't think any of us do. And he says, go down and run through Willimantic at night, look at the signs there in Manchester. And I did. And, the most outrageous sign to me was, the McDonald's sign with the huge golden arches all lit up, just about blinds you as you're driving down the road. But most of the signs I thought were pretty reasonable, but I agreed 15 inches is a big enough letter that that should be okay. So I put that in our update here. Signs permitted in all zones. I don't know if I lost all the ground. We tried to make temporary signs all into one bucket. And then as I was working on it, we had all these little different things that we wanted for temporary signs. And so I split them out under the temporary sign bucket because I had little things in the comment that really came back to me was, we got an election coming up. The people that want to put an election sign up, we shouldn't have them guessing at what the regulations mean. Let's just spell it out for them so they know. And so that's what we did. So I put down some words on your real estate sign, one freestanding sign, advertising, not to exceed 4 square feet, and it's not lit up. Election signs. Oh, this is a big change from before. We should, just because we authorize a 32 square foot sign for a business, does that mean that somebody in a residential area gets to put a 32 square foot sign up in their yard for an election? And the answer turns out to be no. You are allowed to put a political sign or an election sign as big as the biggest sign we allow in that specific zone. And the biggest sign we allow in a residential zone is 16 square feet. And so that's how big the election sign can be in a residential zone. So that's a little different. I also cut down on the amount of square footage based on the residential zone too. And instead of 50, that was the max anywhere out in the commercial, I cut it down to 32 square feet. And I figured, if everybody's got the 3 square foot lawn signs that we normally have, that's 10 signs you can put in your front yard. I think that's plenty. And so when we go to public hearing, we might get some feedback from those folks who get passionate about election signs, that's not enough, but at least I've got a basis that I was happy and didn't seem too excessive and I thought was reasonable. So anyhow, that's a bit of a change in Hopefully it'll never even become an issue, but just in case it is, there you go. Special event signs, freestanding up to 16 square feet,
In the
construction.
past, Jed, there has been election signs that have been 32 square feet.
And those have been primarily in the commercial zones out along Route 6. I don't know that I've seen them in the residential zone, but I expect, I'm going to make a personal invite to the head of the, Andover Democratic Party and Republican Party to attend, our public hearing so we can get feedback from them on, can they live with this? Last year when we talked to them about signs, I think they were pretty reasonable. They just wanted to know what the rules were. And so we gave them some. I'm cutting that back a little bit. The biggest thing that I think that is going to be probably providing heartburn to those folks who want to put up their political signs is, and it's not a change. We've got words up here somewhere. I can't find it. I'll have to make sure it's still in there, but it's no signs in the town right away along the roads. That is not a change. We just didn't know it was in our regs when we were talking before. And
Right there. Street right of ways.
what's the number?
All signs or part thereof shall be clear of all.
There you
straight
go. Okay, yep. And
right of
so
ways.
in addition, no closer than 15 feet to the edge. So I know we have some different right-of-way distances for different roads. Certainly, if you're 15 feet back from the road, you're clear of the town right-of-way. My concern was that you see some vulgar signs being posted, and I don't think those signs have any business being in the town property at all. If you want to put up a sign like that, it should be in your own yard, your own private property, and that's your business. I still may not like it, but I didn't want it on the town right of way. And since that was already our regulation, I just left it there. So there you go. And then the political position. Oh, no trespass, signs not to exceed 2 square feet. Where multiple signs are required, intervals no closer than 20 feet apart. And again, I just kind of made that up, thinking that sounded reasonable to me. But people, we do have no trespassing signs posted various places. And I wanted to cover it. Political position signs. Each lot may have one sign, maximum 16 square feet in the residential, 32 square in the business. No political position sign shall be allowed on publicly owned property. So even if you're out of the right of way, in the town hall, down at the dump, I don't think we should be putting political position signs. I'm not saying we can't put up election signs, but I didn't want, some of these political position signs, I think, are getting a little carried away, and don't think they should be on the town property. Town shouldn't be taking a position on those political position signs, other than that they shouldn't be posted there. So that's how I handled it. And again, open to any feedback on that. That was just what I thought. We kind of wanted to keep that quaint town that everybody wanted as we heard going through. Application procedures. I got 2 questions for Jim here. $15. Yeah. $15.6. Okay, here's signs permitted, in these districts ARD and Andover Lake District, in addition to those allowed by, in all districts. And Jim, it says down here, special permit required in application. And I think we're talking about identification sign for uses other than single family dwelling. So it'll be a construction sign, an apartment building if we add it in a residential area or something like that. I think what it really means is if we do a special permit, that grants the authorization. If we don't do a special permit, they apply through the zoning agent. You certainly don't need both.
Right.
And again,
Let me
that's,
take a look at that.
that's no
That needs
change.
some
That's
clarification.
what's there today. I just didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah, it's a bit extreme to require a special permit for some of these signs, my opinion. I'll take a look at it and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, and I tried to stay silent. Yeah, I don't want a guy who's going to have a tag sale puts up a sign to come over looking for a permit. It's something more than that. The home occupation sign, the construction signs, the bigger signs that are going to be around for a while. And that's what this is trying to identify here.
But these are, I mean, you're talking like apartment buildings or, I mean, condos.
Yep,
if we had
and
them.
I don't even think,
That's
when are we going to see an apartment building go up in Andover? Certainly not in a residential zone, at least I don't think, but.
It'd be the floating zone if it happens.
It could happen there, and that would be out in in the business areas.
Yeah.
But anyhow, think
I'll
about
take
that a
look
little
at that
bit.
and make sure I give you a better answer, give you a good answer.
Yep. And then down here on the permit procedures says a detailed drawing, and then you got 3 choices for the size. I didn't understand why we needed 3 choices there. And you don't have to give me an answer tonight, Jim. I just.
Yeah, there's no reason.
I
mean.
Probably don't want it a 5 by 7.
I don't want a 24 by 36 inch applicant.
How about 12 by
sign.
18? Does that do it for you?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. And
Actually,
that was
11 by
all.
18 is legal size, right?
Yep.
Yeah, go back to the window signs and the business window signs.
Uh, t- 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 t-
25% of the available window.
Yeah, and again, my eye is not jumping to it. What paragraph are you
Go
reading?
back up, Jen. Slow down. Whoa, right there. Window signs.
Oh, right here, 15.7.1. Okay, yep, go ahead.
Those are business signs, right? Yeah.
Yep, they are. They're to address the signs at the gas station.
They would obviously exceed that now, right?
They do. Yep. And I don't know if we will be able to, I got to go look into what they certainly don't comply with any regulation that we have today. The mobile station, I didn't check to see if they went to the zoning board of appeals. The Extra Mart, I don't think there is entirely out of control as the other gas station was. But I did want to cover window signs, and I got confused a little bit because in the definition of window sign, it says it's on the inside of the window. And so I was thinking, well, what if it's on the outside of the window? Does that mean we don't have any regulations? And then that means it's one of those on the side of the building, signs that, and I forget the title of it, but they can have the flat sign, which goes on the outside. So if it's on the outside of the window, it's a flat sign. It's on the inside of the window, it's a window sign. And, but either way, we can restrict the amount of it. And so I put 25% of the available business window frontage to a maximum of 50 square feet. And the thought was that, well, somebody's going to put a lot of windows in their place just so they can, plaster, have a lot of square footage to put into signs. And that's why I thought maximum of 50 square feet. And we've been living with whatever we've had over at the mobile station for a long time now. If we could get that down to 50 square feet, I think we'd be doing great.
Do they have 50 square feet to?
Oh, yeah. They got, you look at each of those windows and it's, well in excess, of 2 or 3 sheets of plywood. So, they probably got 50 to 100 square foot on each one of those little window things that goes across there. They have a lot of square footage.
And it's all covered.
And it's all covered. Yep.
I guess I don't really have a problem with them putting signs in their windows. I'm not sure why we need to restrict the ones that are in the windows. I can see the signs on the posts outside. What's the purpose?
Well, so I wanted to have something that covered window signs so we could allow the signs that say open, closed, lit up, that kind of stuff. We have significant restrictions on this total square footage of signage.
Right.
Matter of fact, the maximum square footage in these regulations is 50 square feet total. That includes the freestanding sign out front, the flat signs, total square footage less than 50 square feet.
Right.
And Mark Brantz kept pushing me. He says, "You're making them too big. You're giving too much square footage here. You got to reduce it." I said, "Why? It doesn't seem, unreasonable to me." I go look at the Extra Mart signs, and that didn't appear excessive to me. His feedback to me was, go drive around Glastonbury and look at the signs they have there. And they have plenty of people going to the stores with little signs. And you go to places with big signs, and that doesn't necessarily mean they have a lot of people doing business there. It says you have a tasteful store with a tasteful sign, the people are going to go there. They know where it's at. They're going to go there, that sort of thing. So I thought, okay, we want to continue, and we heard a lot of that tonight, to have our town looking quaint. I think the building that was presented tonight, I thought it looked good. If anybody would have pressed me on that, my comment would have been, what's it got to compete with? The gravel pit, the junkyard, the gas station across the street. It doesn't take much to look more quaint than those. And so, but I do think that we don't need to have every window totally windowed over on signage now, which is what we have at the one place. That was my thinking.
Good.
Yes, Leanne.
Hi, I was mainly going to agree with Ann. I don't personally find these, the gas station signs the way they are now particularly bothersome or unattractive. And I don't know, if we're combining this discussion with window signs and also any exterior signs on the brick or whatever else the rest of the building is made out of. But, I think they advertise a lot of things like beverages and firewood and that they take EBT and ATM inside. And I think that does provide a service. I suppose somebody could argue that, you know, any other business like a tradesman or an office or something would want to have as many signs as they could also. But I think in most of those cases, those people are just advertising like one, I mean, it's a small town, but you know what I mean? Like one item, like that they do one thing at their office or one thing at their carpentry shop or something. So again, I just personally don't think that it's really a nuisance to have the gas stations have the kind of signs that we see now.
Okay, and I guess my only response to that would be, in the case of the Extra Mart, you know, they felt the same way that you did. They went to the ZBA and got relief, and so there is an out if they think they've got an exceptional hardship because of our regulations there. Now, if the
Well, I
majority
didn't
of the
know-
commission, go ahead.
I guess I didn't realize that the Extra Mart went to ZBA about their window signs.
Not about the window sign, about the size of their signs, their signage out front in general. You know, we say they can't have more, I think right now it might be 80 square feet, but, and we say a sign can't be higher than 10 feet. And you look at the sign out there, and it's much higher than 10 feet. And so they went to the ZBA and got relief on there for, the sign plan that they wanted. And CBA agreed with them and said, yeah, this looks okay, and allowed it.
Okay, well, I didn't realize that. I mean, I was the one several years ago who mentioned to John Valenti that the subway had put up like 5 of those big feather signs, I think they're called.
Yep.
You know, right out in that little grassy area right along Route 6. And they were just big and billowing and tall and repetitive, and it was overkill. But I didn't, and then they at the time they took most of them down. I don't know if they left up 1 or 2 or one on the other side of the driveway or some such thing, but they took some of them down. But I didn't realize that the Extra Mart had gone, because that's different. That's a sign identifying the business right next to the road, so to speak, is different from advertising individual things, you know, the kind of thing I was mentioning in the windows and otherwise on the exterior. I mean, you could have the same thing. You could say, this is the Shell station, this is the Extra Mart right next to the street. Then you could have a sign that says Shell or Extra Mart on your building. So it is kind of 2 different things. But one identifies the place and the other one talks about the kind of things that, again, that I just listed. So, again, I don't think that that's particularly offensive. I guess some people could think it was overkill or draw a comparison to some other kind of business. But right now, I don't think it's particularly a nuisance. That's all.
Okay. I'm open to other thoughts. As I looked at the mobile station down there with, they probably got 5 or 10 different signs scattered around the property, out there, and in every window covered over with signage. I thought that, to me, I thought that was a little excessive. And so I thought that's not what we wanted on a routine basis. If the majority do want it, it's easy to eliminate the window sign. We don't have anything discussing window signs in there now. I was trying to make it so the guy could put the open or closed lit sign in there and have a basis for putting some nice signage in the window. The hardest part about eliminating it from our regs is I'd have to go through and renumber all those paragraphs again. And I'm willing to do that.
The one thing that I have a question about with gas stations is I can't really picture the size on our regulations compared to what the signs are out there. But I know as a customer looking for a gas station, 2 things I'm looking for. I'm looking for a big enough sign to see it's a gas station, Mobile, Citgo, whatever the brand is. And I want to see a sign that tells me the price. I want to be able to read the price and not have to pull in to find it on a pump. I'd like to see that we make sure we allow visible signs for the gas station and for the price. I'm not sure what the size comes out to be, but those two things are important for most customers.
I
I've
agree.
been to
Yep.
stations that don't have that, and it's hard to know where to get your gas, especially if
Yep.
you're not familiar with the area.
Nope, I agree. And again, that certainly has not been a problem with either of the gas stations that we have in town.
Right.
And,
I just don't want to make the regulations too tough for somebody in the
Yep.
future
okay,
in that area.
very good. So even up through, the point where we get to public hearing, we can change these things a little bit and tweak on them. But so.
Yeah. I should probably try to figure out what the size of the signs I'm thinking about would be.
Well, I think the signage out there is probably 15 feet tall, where we limit it to 10. I don't know if a 10-foot sign, where you put the price out there, how big it would have to be there. And I don't think we're going to get any more gas stations in Andover, so I don't know that we have to wrestle with
Probably
that.
not.
We got the two that we are going to get.
Yeah, that's probably
Scott or
true.
Steve, what do you guys think about the window signs? Should we just get rid of it? Should we
No,
keep it?
Jed, I think it's a good idea. And if you think about it from a public safety standpoint, fire and police, they probably need to have some visibility into the building. And if you cover it 100% with signage, that's, I think, a concern. But I think, maybe 25% is too restrictive. I don't know what the right number is. Maybe we need to put a little more thought into the percentage, but I think 100% sign coverage in the windows is probably not a good idea.
Right.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Scott.
Especially at that gas station.
Yep. I'll go back and look. I think 25% is a number that I took from a different, either Mark Branch's model regulations or another town that he said had a good set of sign regs. I didn't make that number up. I might have made up the 50 square feet. And I can't remember if I was bigger or smaller than I think Mark's had a blank for that. He said, just make sure you put a total square footage so the guys don't play games with you on the number of windows trying to totally block out, the ones that are right along the road. So I'll go back, take another look there. I think it's in the ballpark with what other towns are doing. And because I tried not to be any more creative than I had to be. I guess the other thing I'd like to just talk about on signs, and again, I don't know if we're ever going to have this issue come up again or not. If you go to a lot of towns, most towns, and you see a sign for a plaza, and it's got, I'll just say Andover Plaza, and then underneath it, it's got the list of all the things that are there. And I was saying, how come, we don't have that here in Andover? And the feedback I got was because we don't want that in Andover. We want, if you're looking for Andover pizza, it's in Andover Plaza. So you put a big sign out there that says Andover Plaza, guy pulls in, then he finds where Andover Pizza is. If you put all the stores that are in the plaza down there underneath the Andover Plaza sign, the guy's driving down the road and he's trying to read all these different signs and he, not paying attention to where he's driving. So I thought that kind of made sense to me. And so we've got it to where if you got a plaza or something with multiple things, you got one sign to advertise the site, and then you put the business specific signs on the businesses. I thought that was kind of interesting. I hadn't thought of that way, but I do know a lot of towns have all these little establishments listed under the heading there. And I do find myself, squinting, trying to look, see what's there. And maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe the ad needs to say located in Andover Plaza, and then you find that, and then you look at it when you get in there. So, any other comments on the sign regs?
Well, going to that point, Jed, I think that really is a good practice on busy roads like Route 6. And not that we have anything here in Andover, but if, say you're in Glastonbury and there's an office park and you're looking for a doctor's, which building that your doctor is in, I think in that case, those signs make sense where you can list all of them on one sign. But I agree, in a high traffic area like Route 6, it doesn't make sense.
Yep. Yep. Any other comments on the sign regs?
Yeah, Jed, one more point, going back to the individual lettering, the 15-inch high restriction.
Yep.
I was just thinking it might be a little too restrictive. You could take the 32 square foot limit and do a 2 foot high by 16 feet long wall sign and end up, with something like that versus if we allowed 18 inches or more for individual letters. In other words, if we told these folks on this new commercial building, a retail building, 15 inches high, and they say, well, we want to go 18 or 24 inches, we'll just put a wall sign up instead. I would think that would be less appealing, and we don't want to drive them in that direction. So we might want to consider opening up the 15-inch limit.
Okay, I'll think some more on that. Again, I grabbed that right from Mark Grantz's model regs. He was in all things signs, he keeps trying to push us smaller rather than bigger. And that not necessarily the right answer, but
yeah, no, I agree. Smaller is better than bigger. I just don't want to push them towards, gaudy wall signs versus something which might be a little more tasteful.
well, and as I looked around, well, I'll let you know. We'll talk about that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Any other sign comments? Okay, that is that. And I didn't think we'd be talking about signs tonight, but since Bill Warner had to go, he had an appointment tonight at 9 o'clock that he couldn't get out of. Made that opportunity available. We're on to discussion. Jim, any discussion we need to have?
Well, as long as you brought it up, just we've moved to this where everything is posted on the town's website, and I think it's working out pretty well. And I just want you to know that I'm certainly open for suggestions on that, anything that would make it easier. And now we're getting links. BL, for instance. So we used to get these PDFs. Now we're getting links. And I'm trying to keep up with this, the changes, the tech changes. But I'm just I also presently keep paper files, and I'm not sure that I will do that forever. But I'm just looking for feedback on how easy it is for folks to find everything, if there's any need for improvement.
Well, my I guess I like sitting in my easy chair with a highlighter on a piece of paper and making comments all over the pages as I review it. I can't find that easy to do when the things are posted online, so I end up printing everything off. And then I got the traffic study today, 98 pages. And I said, holy cow, so I'm going to go use a whole ream of paper and my toner cartridge on this thing because he's not providing it to me. So I And I see where he says he sent you a bunch of copies. Is that true? Do you have those yet? Or did those not show up in the mail yet?
I didn't get them in the mail. I think he sends them on the link.
No, he said he provided paper copies of all this stuff.
Wait, I'm sorry, they provided paper copies of the plans.
No,
Plans in full,
I'll go back and figure it out, but
which were distributed.
certainly, yeah, I didn't feel like running off a copy of the traffic study.
Right, but and some of the internal documents call for 10 copies, and we have gotten 10 copies posted. And it's been a little problematic. So we're working through those, but
yeah. All things considered, I like having everything posted online. That gives the public access to it. That gives us access to it. And that's a good place when you go back to reviewing something that's done in the past. I like it. I just don't like having to run off the big copies to do a review. And if we were meeting in person, maybe it would be easy for us to pass them out, but that still doesn't give you the opportunity to, at your leisure, review it before we get to the meeting. So that's the only thing I'm not fond of on it. And that's that.
okay. Well, I guess my point is, it's a new process. And it's, like to be able to do whatever works best. So I'm open for suggestions.
Okay. Anybody else got any suggestions for Jim on that at this point? I guess the other thing that I like how you get it posted. I don't like the fact that it comes in on Monday afternoon, and I didn't even think to send out to I knew I wasn't going to have time to get through it tonight, so I wasn't going to entertain acting on that thing until we had a chance to do that. We'd let you know tonight, but these things just kind of pop up and you don't know it. And as long as you always put the new things at the bottom, so I can go back in and it's not hidden in there, so I can look back to where I was looking last time and know there's nothing new hidden in there that I don't know about.
I make a point to put them in sequentially and to be in a format where it makes the most sense to me anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, just it's an ongoing, it's a dynamic situation. I'm open for suggestions.
I think the website's working well. I like it.
All right.
Next up's approval of the minutes from February 28th, 2022. And I move that the meeting minutes from February 28th be approved. Looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any comments on the minutes? And I did have a couple. I'll start out then. Under others present, I show. Does everybody have a copy of the minutes, or do we need to post those up on the screen here? This is one of these cases where, once again, I like my paper copy that I can scribble on as I'm reviewing, but. Hearing none, I'll go through. I don't think Hank Bruner was at that meeting. I think we talked about, Jim was going to send out, something for Hank Bruner giving training on going over and look at the vernal pools. But I don't think he was actually there to make his case.
I think you're right, Jed.
Okay, so we'll scratch Hank Bruner. Under old business. No, I give up. On page 4, the second line down under section 17, alcohol, cannabis. Steve Nelson stated to remove item B, package store next to a bar currently violates regulation. And then it's got the word suggested lowering from 500 feet to 200 feet. That was about something else. We just got rid of the requirement that the package store couldn't be within 500 feet of the bar. So eliminate the words suggested lowering from 500 to 200. In the next line down, it says Susan England suggested to leave item C at 500 feet, add an item D for, and it said parks except, and we need to cross out parks except, so it says add an item D for the rail trail and lower the radius to 200 feet. And then down, so did you get those, Abby?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, down on item 11B. Jed Larson updated that there is nothing happening in the Inland Wetlands Commission. I might have said that, but I hope I didn't. I hope I said nothing happening that affects the Planning and Zoning Commission. So we need to add the 3 words that affects PZC at the end of that statement. And that's it. So I thought Marina did a great job filling in for you, Abby. But there were just a couple of little hiccups there. Anybody else have any comments on the minutes? Okay, correspondence and administrative reports, Jim.
No correspondence, administrative reports, just spending a lot of time, new projects in the spring, a lot of people looking at lots, and trying to figure out if they're buildable, which is a time consuming activity for me. There is some, I am moving on to an enforcement letter for 5-methiacin for blight. And I have not as yet sent a letter out to the gentleman on Route 6 with the RVs near the road. I will hope to send that out tomorrow. Basically a letter just saying, give me a call. Let's see if we can't work this out. 12 Center Street, I believe, is the demolition has commenced. There was actually no enforcement, but certainly I had been in contact with the owner. It's my understanding it started. I have not seen it myself. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, you did not mention a letter to the property on Route 6 across from Parker Bridge Road. And
okay, and that letter, those letters, 2 letters are going out basically together.
Okay, yeah. And
to I don't know the numbers offhand, but yeah.
Again, we heard a lot. We all feel that the quaint town of Andover. Most people's impressions of Andover is driving down Route 6, and those 2 places don't look quaint.
No.
Anything else, Jim?
No.
Okay, I think everybody from the public got tired and left. I don't see anybody for public speak, so we'll move on to next regular meeting, April 18th. And I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Thank you very much. That was a little longer than I was hoping tonight. Well, actually, I knew it was gonna be this long. I will need to figure out how to get us back on track with Bill Warner. I was counting on getting his presentation tonight because we do have a due date coming up in June where this project needs to be done. And but I think we'll catch him up on the next meeting, and we may have to schedule an interim meeting to get caught up on a couple of things to get this done. I don't like doing that, but the calendar's rolling quickly down the road, and there you go. So everybody, thank you for showing up and attending and supporting, and have a wonderful evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank
Aye.
you. Right.
Have a good night, everybody.